What's up? We got Brian Gordon over here.
What's
Welcome.
going on, everybody?
Welcome Brian Gordon to his own show, everyone. Huh? Welcome to Talk Hard
Podcast.
Podcast.
Yes, good job.
Not radio, just for
Yet.
those people who thought
Yet.
it was radio. It's not.
Yet.
Anyway, welcome to the show, everybody. We got a great show. I don't even know what we're talking about today.
He usually will say, like, topics.
I know, and he didn't even bother telling me. So what are we
didn't
talking
ask.
about? What is going on in your world today, Brian?
A lot.
Yeah, you got a lot
of-
going on?
A lot of great things.
Oh.
And actually something that I know I want to talk about. I'm not sure that you're going to want to talk about it after I bring it up. It's
Why are you looking at the camera and not me now?
It's not relationships.
We already tackled the one thing that really bothered me, which was relationships, on episode 7. You can go check it out. It's on YouTube, right back there.
That one actually did pretty well.
After this one. Watch this one first. What are we talking about today, Brian? Oh, God.
So
I'm
I
nervous.
learned-
I'm sweating.
As everybody's been watching this journey, I'm continuing to dive into like training and practice and learning new modalities of things, and like neural linguistics
Here he
came up
goes.
this
Here he
weekend,
goes.
and we're getting deeper into it.
Oh,
But
boy.
it brought something up as I was actually being coached by one of the coaches, and
The coach can be coached.
the coach can be coached. Every coach should have a coach. You
He's pointing at me.
posted something. Yep, I'm getting ready to point at you.
Oh, God.
You
What?
posted something yesterday,
I did not. That was my team.
and it said something along the lines of stuck between I'm proud of myself and I gotta go a little harder.
Oh, yeah. I might have posted that one.
And my question was,
I will not confirm or deny.
why can't we do both?
Well,
Why do you have to be stuck?
read me the post again.
Stuck between I'm proud of myself and I gotta go a little harder.
So, in a normal mind, which is no one on this podcast or anybody who listens to this podcast, in the normal functioning brain of the normal human being, that could be the case.
Define normal.
It's a setting on a washing machine. Oh, well, it is.
No, go ahead.
I put it on normal.
Go ahead. Let's
Anyway.
call it the typical.
So, look, man, this is like I talk about all the time how my mind is the enemy, and I have to battle this son of a bitch all day long, every day. From the moment I put my feet on the floor and the kitty cats are running between my legs, from that moment to the time I close my eyes well into the night, I battle my brain. My brain is the enemy, and my brain tells me to do all sorts of things, and it also tells me not to do all sorts of things. But I suffer, because I'm an addict. I'm in long-term recovery, but I suffer for them, and we refer to it in our literature as the fear of impending doom, and as you said in one episode, we're always waiting for the shoe to drop, and so it's like this battle, and I tell me if I'm alone out there, ladies and gentlemen, but it's always like I know because I need validation a lot. I'm not scared to admit that. Like, I like validation. I like to be validated. I give myself validations. Like you said, you give yourself a high five with. I think that's beautiful, by the way. I wish that would trend a little more harder than what it did.
Mel Robbins has it trending. It's called #HighFiveHabits or #HighFive, or she's got a lot of hashtags. But pick up the book, Mel Robbins.
It's a great book.
High Five Habits.
Not great book. Sorry, haven't read the book. I love Mel Robbins.
It is amazing.
I
I mean,
say
it goes
it all.
deep into the psychology side of it and how simple it is. Like, you'll see it on TikTok. I've seen it on Facebook. These videos go viral of the teachers pre-pandemic where they were giving their kids a high five, and it goes viral, right? Because people love to be celebrated.
Yeah.
And they've actually done studies where they can tell which basketball team is going to make it to the playoffs based on watching pregame videos of who gave more high fives.
Love it. That's pretty cool.
Like, they've literally studied the depth of the psychology behind the celebration, the simplicity of connection through physical touch, because we all speak different languages.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where
Love
I'm going
languages.
with this, is like, for me, and this is my hope for people like you, because I too, where you currently say you are right now.
Gotcha.
So I don't feel like I'm making an assumption. I'm basing it off of what you just said.
No.
You wake up and your mind is a constant battle.
Yes.
For me, it used to be, and it no longer is.
Well,
Okay, that's a stretch. It no longer is nearly severe as it was because of this shift that I made. And part of that shift was acknowledging where I am right now. And that even came up this weekend because it started to creep back up as I got nervous in class, right? Because I want to be perfect and everybody's judging me. And I'm one of probably 4 guys out of 27 people. The rest were female. And I am probably the only person there with face tattoos. You know what I mean? Like I go into my head.
You're probably the only person who notices that.
Right. I go into my head real fast, right? Yeah. And as we were talking through some things, it was this like need to be perfect. And I'm still driven in a very similar way to you, but that crept up real bad that week. And my coach at the time said, why can't you just be proud of yourself? Like where you are right now, let's shift gears for a minute and let's talk about where you currently are and why that's a problem. And arrogance came up, and I was like, I'm so afraid of like acknowledging who I am because I don't want to appear arrogant. But let's lay down the facts. 20 years of addiction, 10 of them heroin and pills. Society and statistics say I should be dead, right?
Yeah.
That alone deserves celebration.
Agreed.
Let's just leave it. You could leave it at that and be super proud of yourself to not have gone back to that world. However, my drive got me to a different place. And it did come from a very similar place to you. But what shifted for me and where the urge that still lay deep inside of me finally shifted was when I finally said, I'm enough. Mm-hmm. And so we tried this exercise where you like echo to yourself in the mirror, and then you echo to your coach where you say to your coach, I just want to be seen. And my coach would reflect, you are seen. And it got emotional, like real fast, somebody echoing back like a few words that I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And so when I saw that post, I'm like, there's the other side of the fence to that. And what I mean is people that aren't.
I want to say this, there always is.
Right. So I want to acknowledge where you are and where the other people possibly could be and saying, be proud of yourself where you're at and don't put a time frame on it. Like you don't have to always be striving for more from pain.
Well, let me go into a little bit about where I'm at with that. A large percent. I'm gonna admit it. Like a large percentage of the time, it's again a feeling of impending doom, like constantly. Like, and this is, I believe, saying it's the addict mentality is very vague. It is. It's just who I am. It's who I've always been. It's probably what got me into addiction in the first place. It's what got me into the behaviors, which got me into the criminal, got me into, all the legal troubles that I was in. It's that mindset. But it's also like, so I get clean and sober, and July 1st, I'll have 8 years.
Nice.
So it's still in my career, right? And the things that I do in my life, it's like I always, like if I was to stop and pause for a minute and really reflect, which I do often daily, right? I have to, because my mind gets going and it starts thinking. And it's like, oh God, shit, what if this happens? I'm going to do this. I need to do this. My mind is always, no matter how great I do, and I am, I'm really great at my job. But no matter how great I am at what I'm doing, I have this feeling like I should be doing more constantly. Like I need to be doing more. I should have did that differently. And this is all like this brain doesn't stop. Like it doesn't stop. And it's always telling me to push. It's always telling me. And I have a problem with this. This is, I just talked about with my therapist about this the other day. I never feel like I'm doing enough, yet I know I'm doing better than most people, right? I know that, and that's comparing, which is not always great. But I was talking about motivational videos and how in early recovery, they were that's how I started my mornings. Mm-hmm. That's how throughout my days, on my drives, like motivational. And all these motivational videos, all pretty much, at least the ones that I listen to, because of the algorithms, the ones that pop up on my screen are always like drive. You can go harder, always move forward, never miss an opportunity, always say yes, get up earlier, stay later, all this. And it's just beating into my head, which, I feel like really last week talking to my therapist, like, oh, man, while I needed that and it served me and it still serves me to a certain extent, is it too much? And that's the question. Like, does that being beat into my head? Because guys, listen to it. What you listen to, what you watch, what you read, the people that you're around that's what forms you. Mm-hmm. You're a sum total of those things. So be careful what you listen to, be careful what you watch, be careful who you hang around. It's very important to your life, to your success, to your recovery. But I don't have an answer to this, but I wonder if it's too much. And I'm always feeling inadequate because I got people in my ear, motivational videos, telling me to do more, push hard, grind, get up early, stay. You don't need sleep. You don't. That's how these videos. That's how they're brainwashing me, and my brain needs wash. So absolutely, but it's just this feeling I'm never doing enough constantly. But when I pause and I look at my day, I look at my week, I look at my last 8 years and the stuff that I've accomplished and the things that I've done and the people that I've helped, like, holy shit. Mm-hmm. Why, and that's why I say I have a battle, because I know in my heart of hearts that I'm doing enough, what'd you say a minute ago? I'm good enough.
Right.
I know that. But that's not what plays through my head all day long. Because it doesn't say, my brain doesn't say, Marty, you're not good enough. My brain says, Marty, you can do more. You can do more. You can do more. Which, in reality, that's like, you're not doing enough. You're not good enough. So it's this battle. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody else.
No, it makes perfect sense. And that's my concern on a certain level for some of the people, because I want to reach a wide variety of people out there that aren't driven by that, right? Yeah. Because it's not sustainable.
It's not.
It's really not. You can't.
I agree.
You can't sprint through life. It's not sustainable. Let's just bear down the facts. You talk about these businessmen that are like, Elon Musk. If you want to be bigger, outwork everybody. That if you want to build fast, 1,000%. But get to where you need to go, then take a break.
Well, I had this saying in my head in early recovery too: is there's two things that's going to happen if you and I get on a treadmill at the same time. There's two things going to happen. One, you're going to get off first, or I'm going to die. Okay. As simple as that. That's how I'm. Two things. That's it. You're getting off because you're tired, or I'm going to die.
Yep.
And I don't know if that serves me anymore, just like you said. And you said it's not sustainable, and it's not. And I want to point this out to most people. Like, I don't think the long haul that I've been doing that it's sustainable for most. Burnout is a really, really real thing. And balance, we talk about it. There's a reason that life balance, work balance is very trending right now. It's because it's so real. People forget. Like, I forget sometimes to live and enjoy.
1,000%.
So
I've said this to you before.
I know you have. I know we talk, but sustainability in this grind mindset is different for every person, and most people cannot sustain it for as long as I have. But then
more
again,
than
I feel
90%. Like that's the scary part. That's what scares me the most with these people. So what I'm saying to everybody in the audience out there is, find what works for you, accept where you are, be proud of where you are, because I can't. And you can't. Nobody can get instructions of where to go if you don't realize where you are. And I imagine like that map in the mall, right? You're like, I need to get to this store. And then it's like, you are here. Because otherwise, I don't know where the hell I'm standing in the mall.
Makes sense.
That has to be there.
Makes sense.
You have to acknowledge where you are, because everything around you looks confusing. So just acknowledge where you are. Figure out where you are first before you can get clear instructions on where to go. Otherwise, you're literally running in a hamster wheel. It feels like you're doing something, but you're not actually getting anywhere, because you don't know where you're going. Like, build a plan, but first, I am proud of you. Are exactly who you're supposed to be right now. Good, bad, ugly, or otherwise. You are exactly who you are supposed to be. Every decision you made got you right to where you are. Accept where you are. And then move
good
forward.
or bad.
Right.
Good or bad, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because there is no good or bad, but thinking makes it so.
Ooh, I like that. Can we hashtag that, please? Right.
That's that's a Hamlet quote.
I knew that. Chris, you know that, right?
This is the crazy part. Like, as I'm researching a lot of these things, it's like people that were hundreds and or thousands of years ago were so far ahead of their time in the thinking. Like, this is nothing new. It's just finally gotten to such a breaking point with mental health that it's now coming to the forefront. That's sad.
I always said that I can grind this hard, and people, you know, you've approached me before, and other people have too. But I always say that, like, I feel like if it becomes, I feel like I'll know if my mental health is really starting to decline, and that's when I'll step back. You know, I feel like I know, but then again, you talk to people and nobody seems to. Really,
and yet, you know, as the addict mindset is we make the abnormal normal. So will you know? That's the dangerous part. And that's how we're wired. And I have become so consciously aware of, and through a lot of help, don't get me wrong, this wasn't me. My wife has been a big sounding board for, you're going too hard. Knock it off. You're working too much. Knock it off. You're being an asshole. Knock it off.
I've heard that one so many times in my life.
But I had to give her the space to say that to me without me getting mad at her for saying that, right? Because it's valid and I can't see it.
Well, can we say the flip side of this? Because I want to contradict it to a certain degree.
Okay.
Where I'm at is not necessarily where you're at, right? Okay. Where you guys are at. And if you're in a level and you're at a state in your life where, you know, I want to push this because, man, I feel like all the grinding that I did has got me where I'm at. And yes, you're right. I probably get to a level where I'm going to have to back off a little bit. And I'm starting to see that now. I'm really starting to see that. This summer's starting to happen. That sun's out right now, and it's getting me this, you know, I want to be outside. I want to, this is my summer where I'm going to take some time and enjoy it. Mark my words. But I also want to do the flip side and the contradictory side is I want you guys to look at your life and especially those who complaining or feeling like they're not where they want to be, or they're just going to work every day, coming home and not getting any kind of gains. And maybe if you're not getting any kind of gains, you're cool with that. I'm talking about the ones that are discontent. I'm talking about you who is discontent with your life. You're not happy with your relationships. You're not happy with where you're at in life. You're just barely paying the bills and that kind of thing. And you're unhappy. Like, that's the time. Like, I feel like if you're going to complain and you're going to be unhappy and discontent about it, it's time to freaking grind. It's time to take that 8-hour day shift that you go to work. It's time to go to work, come home, and then grind on what it is you want to do with your life. If you want to get to a level where you're more successful, and however you deem that.
Sacrifice needs to be necessary, 1,000%, and it still is. There's just a balance. For most people in life, this is the way most of us are wired. It's either black or white. Meaning I either do this or this is going to happen.
I get that.
What they don't understand is there is this massive gray field that nobody ever explores. It's if I don't go bust my ass today, then I will be broke tomorrow. Or you won't be. Or you'll need to figure out something else. Or you need to stop wasting money on $500 shoes. Or you need to rethink, and I'm not, if you can afford them, do it. Marty always feels judged every time I say that, even though, I miss his face. Like, every time.
I feel like
all I'm saying is it's like, if I don't do this, then this is the only other option, and it's just not true. And so something you were saying earlier, and I've heard a lot of people say, is this is just the way I am. And I'm sorry, but it's the way you choose to be.
Well, I've had to rewire, right? Because I did nothing for 20, 25 years. Mm-hmm. Like, I was that guy that a lot of people who might be watching the show are, and have been. Like, I was the guy who did absolutely nothing with his life. I had no purpose. So in my rewiring, I had to change everything. That's the one thing I had to change in my recovery is I had to change everything. So I could no longer be a guy who's living without purpose. I could no longer be a guy who was lazy. I could no longer be a guy who didn't do nothing with his day after an 8-hour shift. I could no longer be a guy who didn't who missed every opportunity that was probably thrown at me. Like, that's why the movie Yes Man punched me in the face.
Yeah.
It's a funny movie. It is what it is. But like, there's a good like, I forget the name of the word I'm looking for here, but there's a good story to that. And that's because I was the type of man who say no to everything. If it was uncomfortable, I didn't feel like doing it, because my brain naturally is wired to say, no, I don't want to do that, or I can't do that, or I don't feel like doing that. I run off of feelings. And this is my feelings. When it comes to that aspect of my life, I don't feel like doing something, is that. Beep that shit. Seriously, like, I am a yes man. Say yes. You know how many opportunities I have done amazing at because I didn't feel like going to it, but I said yes anyway. And then I would get there, and then I would meet somebody, or I would hear something that would totally change my life or my way of thinking, or put me in a new opportunity to meet other people who would, it's yes, man, I will be there. Because my feelings tell me, no, Marty, you can sit on the couch. That's why I used to hashtag F your couch, because I didn't get sober. I didn't go through all of that years of crap and then all these years of grinding to sit on a damn couch,
1,000%.
I want to live life.
I think getting to like the core of this is, as you go through this journey and whatever it looks like, so we speak, or we feel, or we think, like, we have what we call 3 different brains. We have the head brain.
That makes sense.
We have the head brain. You're going to a different third brain. It's a little higher up.
Woo.
We have the head brain, we have the heart brain, and we have the gut brain. That's what we call instinct, right? I feel like purpose is driven when the 3 are in sync. When your head is thinking something, your heart is feeling it, and your gut is saying go. Yeah, that's purpose.
I like that.
Otherwise, you will use different parts of your head, your heart, or your gut to get through life. Sometimes things just don't instinctively in your gut feel right, and so you're like, eh. But then there's that time when you think it's your gut instinct, but your head's playing games, and so I'm going to say no because I want to be lazy because the couch is better. That's when you know, and I know like when you're sitting on the couch and you're like, yeah, I don't really want to get up. Yeah. Like, you're not an idiot. Well, you know the consequences of that. This is nothing new. So there's a shift that needs to be made at some point in time for sure. But as you've rewired, now you can do it. Yeah. So there will come a new time to rewire again, to get into a different network of your life where it's like, okay, if you were to talk about like the actual processor on a computer, when you're playing video games, we overclock, right? And so now it's time
knows what that is.
Now it's time to turn the processor up and let's get everything firing at all times. But unless you've got that thing running on a liquid cooled system and all these other things in place, and even then, you'll fry that thing if you just keep it going.
Are we talking about my brain again?
Yes. You go into overclock, but if you don't bring it back down and let the processors cool off and then reset your computer, let everything shut down, let it reset, it'll just burn out. Yeah. I don't care how expensive or how fancy the thing is. They're not built to run like that. Even massive network servers cycle because they can't carry the weight all the time. Nothing is built like that. We are no different. You can't carry the world through your life and feel like, oh, yeah, I did that because I'm King Kong. You're an idiot. You're carrying other people's problems. Again, we're talking about the outside world working on the inside reflection, and what my purpose is what you think of me. Bullshit. I need to be proud of me. Yeah. I need to be enough before I want to go after more, because how do I know what enough is? Then that's when you get into this dangerous world of it's never enough. Then what define enough for me then? What is enough? Where does the end actually lie? Because you said it's never enough. That sounds dangerous to me. That's like a horse. If you let a horse run, it'll run itself to death.
You calling me a horse now?
No, I'm just saying, like, Let's just be realistic about the situation.
Listen,
I want people to not set unrealistic
I do
expectations
too.
for themselves. I
I do too,
want you
guys.
to push yourself,
I really don't.
but celebrate yourself while you're doing that.
I agree, man. Like self affirmations are very important, and realize you're right. And I lose track of this all the time because some people, I feel like it. You cannot compare yourself to other people, which we all do as humans. And please don't compare yourself to me because I've watched many people burn out way shorter time span than I thought.
Well, here's
was
the bottom
possible.
line. What worked for you won't work for a lot of people.
Yeah.
You have to find what works for you. You have to find what is sustainable for you within reason. Like, you got to be able to push yourself, but you got to also know when to say when. And the problem is most people don't say when because, like you said on the treadmill, you're going to die or the other person's going to get off. That is where it gets dangerous because what the other person's doing shouldn't matter.
I know, but you're talking about human nature.
You can be driven by people, that's fine, but you got to learn when to say when and say, I'm enough right now. I want more. It's never enough for me. I understand that, but I'm proud of who I am today.
Yeah, that's the difference, right?
That's the difference. I'm okay with where I'm at. So when I fail, it's not like, oh shit, it's not black or white. It's okay. I failed. I'm in the gray. I'm okay with that because this exists here. And I know that it's not the end all be all. It's just a moment in time. And I fail at many things.
Yeah.
But I've gotten comfortable with it because I stopped the black and white thinking and I got into this whole gray space. It's why they say you have gray matter in your brain. Like,
some of us have a little
this
more.
was all wired a long time ago where it's okay to exist in this space of the unknown. That's where magic happens. When something happens that you didn't know was going to happen, that's when it's magical.
I think it's just most important to have. We talk about mindsets all the time, and I think we haven't really ever talked about how mindsets need to adapt to said situations.
Okay,
because I have the mindset of, and it's served me for the last 8 years almost that I have to go, and I have to get it, because I have to make up for 25 years of lost time, and I have to prove myself, mostly to myself. Like, I know, and there's a difference. Like, if you're doing whatever task is in front of you, and you got the end of the day, and you said, I did all I could, then that's great. But in my head, I'm like, I should have did this, and this. I could have did that more. Okay, I'll go back, I'll revamp tomorrow, and I'll do this more. I'll do more of that. I'll check those boxes. But I think mindset I think it changes because there has to, I don't know if all these different mindsets can coexist at the exact same time. The minds, and this is probably where you're going to disagree because of the meme. You think that they can coexist with I am enough, I did enough, and I could do more. Wait, is that how it went?
I'm stuck between I'm proud of myself and I need to go harder.
Right. Yeah, okay, those can coexist. It's just, I think, like, being a mindset of go, I need to do more, I need to accomplish more, I got a lot to learn, I got a lot to do, I got a lot to learn, I got a lot to grow in this area and that area, and I need to expand more, I need to network more, I need to meet more people, I need to make more cold calls, I need to do this, I need to expand this business, versus, okay, I'm good, I can take the rest of the day off. For me right now, I'm having trouble, and I'm going to definitely go deeper with this because I'm having trouble with that. And obviously, it's why you brought this whole thing up, but because you see that. 'Cause I'm having trouble at 6 o'clock at night, 8 o'clock at night, when I finally sit down for the day to say, all right, I don't need my laptop in front of me. All right, I don't need my phone in front of me. Because it's probably it's definitely a disease. How is your disease? How is your disease manifested itself in your life today? Well, I guess I'm a workaholic. And it's probably not healthy. No, it's definitely not healthy.
My main question is, on the days that you don't get all of your things done, what actually happens that makes you feel like it wasn't enough?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nothing.
That's all I'm curious about.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. It's all in me. It's all in my head.
See, people see sitting on the couch as doing nothing because they get in the space where that's all that they do.
Well, that's the one thing I want to avoid thinking that I want you guys to think that's okay, because I don't.
No, definitely not. Like,
I don't think if you do that it's okay.
Now you're actually doing nothing.
Yeah.
But when you rest is literally mandatory for the body. I can tell you from personal experience, your brain will literally disconnect from the rest of your body and it will shut down.
He said literally.
I do not remember driving away from my family and ending up in a canyon behind my house. I don't remember any of it. I went to autopilot. My brain said, "We're done, dude.
Yeah.
We are done.
I do
I'll
know
keep
that.
you alive right now, and I'll take you somewhere, but we're done.
I'm not present.
I am not actually going to function for you and allow you to live in this over-conscious space.
Yeah.
I'm going to click off. I'm going to separate that part, and we're done."
Okay, I am very much victim to that most days at some point, like autopilot. Dangerous place to be in, especially when you're driving. Especially when you just drove 45 minutes from point A to point B and you don't remember a single second of it.
They call it hypnotic driving.
What is that? Like, did
It's
I use my turn signals?
It's not actually a bad thing.
Did I run somebody up? I have no idea.
It's when your brain has actually realized it's taken on too much information and it's trying to process it.
I don't think it should shut down while you're driving.
No, you are conscious. You
Right.
just don't realize it. So the brain, I don't know the exact number, so people don't attack me on here, but it's somewhere in the area of 200 million bits of information are in the brain. It can actually gather 120,000 at a time, and then there's a reason why the phone number is typically 7 digits long. It's because that's all you can actually focus on. So it's easy to remember someone's phone number because you can actually focus on 7 plus or minus 2 bits of information at once. If I said focus on this, now focus on this, now focus, and I named off like 25 things, you'd gather about 7 of those and be able to repeat them back to me.
Depending on what time of the day it is, too.
That's just how the human brain is wired, period. Some people with super intellect can recall more things because they have the ability to compartmentalize and memorize at the same time, and that's genius level type of stuff. That's why they can count so fast. But the typical brain can only focus on about 7 things at a time. So multitasking is not your best friend.
I think I'm at 3 at this point of the day. 3 things.
In the military, it was analyze, simplify, execute. You look at all the things, you simplify them down into what's important, and you execute on just those things.
Prioritize. I get it.
It was prioritized in a single form, yes. And it's that basic, and I want people to stick to the basics when they're doing things, because everybody gets all excited and I gotta go, and they're trying to research 200,000 things, and then they're like, I feel like I'm going nowhere. Well, duh.
Well,
You haven't focused on one thing long enough to get anywhere, and you wonder why you haven't gone anywhere.
I coach a lot of people in the importance of lists, and that's why, whether it be an early recovery, trying to get to that next level in your life or career, it's like lists they help. I guess I can only speak because they changed my life completely. Because I would wake up without intention, and I would wake up and just kind of go through the motions and autopilot, and or grab the phone, and that just takes you on a whole different rabbit hole that you don't even want to go down. But when you wake up and you set your list at night, and you wake up to that list, and you kind of know because you did it the night before what your intentions are on that list, and it's usually like what time I get up. And you get up and you do this, this, and this to start your morning routine, and then you start executing the task at hand. And I tell people all the time, like, just focus on the one thing only, the one thing, until you get it complete. And say you have a goal, and your goal is it takes 15 steps to get to the first part of your goal. Like, if you just look at the goal, and this is what I tell people about goals all the time, like, you can look at the goal, like, I want to be this, or I want to do this, but that doesn't matter. Quit looking at that. Look and focus and study and how many steps it takes to get to that part of the goal. Because you could have 4, 10, 20 parts segmented off in your goal. But if you just look at the goal, you really don't, you're kind of wondering aimlessly on how to get there. No, write down the night before what it takes to get to that goal. And if you might get 3 of those check boxes that you can accomplish in one day. And if you do, like, that's accomplishment. That's feeling content. Like, I did something today. And when you do that, that builds momentum, right? A body in motion stays in motion, and if you can continue that without sitting down and doing this and focusing on this and get distracted by that or her or him or this or that's going on, like, if you can push all that shit away, push away all distractions and focus on what you want to accomplish, and that could just be the simplest things in life, or that could be something big like starting a business or, creating a label, whatever it may be. If you could just focus on one thing at a time, I promise you right now, if you guys all did it, you will get a lot more accomplished, and you will do it in less time, and you will not feel like a clock on the wall, because I say this all the time. It's don't confuse always moving and going with getting shit done.
So, yeah, I mean, I love what you're saying right here. You're basically explaining the rewiring process in all reality. That's in a simple form. That's what you're doing. You do something until you memorize it. You rewire it in your brain. Now you don't have to think about it, because now it's in your unconscious. Yeah. Now it's in the part of the brain that just automates, right? Yes. So once you've got that down and you can repeat it without thinking about it, now you move on to the next. Yeah. You get that down. You're basically replacing all this negative crap in your head with the stuff that serves you. Yes. And you allow that to live in what they now call your unconscious. The subconscious is below the level. The unconscious is what you do without thinking.
I just realized this too, like, as you were talking. Like, so I would say all of us out here, we look at our subconscious, if you was to look at it, and many of you haven't even thought about it, but those of you have looked at it, okay, I'll speak on myself. When I looked at my subconscious and how I'm wired, or how I was wired, that I pretty much 90%, 80% of my day was ran off my subconscious, and nothing required any thought. I looked at that as a negative thing, and it was, and it is, right?
It had the wrong tools inside of it.
Yes. Yep. So what Brian's saying is, if we rewire that subconscious to act as a subconscious, but it's doing positive things without us thinking about it.
How are my thoughts going to serve me today?
Yeah, perfect.
And repetition creates memorization.
Yep.
So when and it breaks it all, the psychology goes all the way down to like the business world, Lean Six Sigma. What they say is, in order to create change, something has to be changed, and it has to be done right the first time. Yeah. Which means you do it as many times as you need to until you can do it right over and over and over again. And now you've created valuable change. That's how you add value in the business world.
Love it.
So it's the same thing. It's just you take it through the different modalities. You focus on the things that you can focus on until you get them right, and then you move on to the next. I posted something the other day that says, the knowledge of the book is not on the last page. You have to read the book. Sometimes more than once.
Metaphor for all of you who love to read the last page and learn what happened.
Well, in simple form, you don't go to the movie to watch the end. Like, if you went to the movie and just saw the end, you'd be like, that was lame. It's everything that came up to it that made the ending what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
It's the journey. This is how we're wired as humans on every level. It's storytelling as a whole. When someone is talking to you and they tell a story and you get attached to this 10-minute story and you feel like you're living in it, and then they're done and you're like, damn, now that was a story. It's because it was the travel through. It wasn't the punchline. Good comedians carry jokes on, and they bring you back to them randomly as you go through the journey, because they're touching base on things and they're carrying that joke forward so you can stay in the journey with them. Yep. while still hitting punchlines along the way. Like, that's a great comedian.
Yep.
And now that I've said it, you'll start to notice it more.
I was really thinking about my last show that I went to, and that's exactly what he did. Yeah.
They keep bringing back things that hit hard, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna bring that one back around." It's like that mic drop moment kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And so with people, I just don't want people to get so lost on, if I don't turn into a badass today, then I'm a loser tomorrow. Not true. It's okay for it to never be enough. That's the whole point of the journey. I will die trying to be more than I was yesterday. I will die that way. Period. But that doesn't mean I don't accept who I am today, and I'm not proud of who I actually am right now. I still have a long ways to go with all these things, and it is never enough. But where I'm at today is better than I was at yesterday. 1%.
I implore some of you, and I will do it too. I will. I'll make a commitment. I'll do it too. To write down a list of, because I've been in recovery for 8 years, and I literally was sleeping outside, homeless. Not the kind of homeless where it's like, I don't have a home. No, staying on my buddy's couch and all that. No, like sleeping outside, sharing needles, doing unspeakable things to get right. And coming from that to where I am today, I'm going to take a minute to pause this evening, and I'm going to make a short list of just a few things of what I have accomplished. And the amount of, when I talk about my accomplishments, it's the amount of lives. One of the major things that pops in my head as soon as I said that was the amount of lives that I've affected in the positive way in my recovery journey, and what I've done for a living, for my career, and what I've done for my purpose. So I think Brian's right. I think we all should take a minute, and I would like to see you, if you guys want to you want to make a list tonight after you watch this, and you want to post a list down below of 5 great things that you've accomplished in your journey into whatever it is. A lot of you are in recovery with me.
Join our Facebook page. Send us a request. Throw it in there. I want everybody that's on the Talk Hard Fans Facebook page to throw this isn't arrogance. Be proud of who you are. And
right.
If anybody posts anything negative about it, you're going to get kicked out of the group, period. It's that simple. This isn't a space for judgment. This is a space for where we're at. If you want to question things. But I questioned your thing as a curious, not like negative. And then
of course
somebody else commented on that, and I'm like, okay, tell me, like, why can't that? Like, we don't have to grow from pain all the time. We can grow from flourishment, right? That's the point. We want to get to a space where we feel abundant and continue to grow.
Yeah.
That is the key to life for me. I want other people
Picasso.
to share it. So I love this idea. You can email us. You can email it to us, fans@talkhardfans.com. You can join our Facebook group, Talk Hard Fans.
Yeah, put it on the comments down below. I'd really like to see that.
You know what? When you said that, it was funny because something happened to me this weekend. So I took one of the first classes. I think it was close to a month ago. And as I came back into this class, I didn't realize I'd have people from the first class. There was 2 or 3 of them. And one of the ladies I had coached in our practice session, and I had asked her a question. And in that moment, because we only had like 30 minutes together in that coaching session, I asked her about her hero. Like, who's your hero? And she was a little kind of standoffish to that thought process at that moment, right? And when that happened, in my head, I went, wrong question, Brian. Like, I judged myself, right? Because I wasn't serving the way that I felt, because I made it about me and not about the client, and I did everything wrong in that moment. Because this last weekend, we ended up in a group together, and she said, oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you, I found my hero, and it's me.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
When you say these are just the people you know about. You don't know how many people you've actually touched. I've given leads and done things, and then saw people months later that I didn't even remember were in the room. They came up and were like, you remember me? No. Sorry. Oh, well, I was at your lead at Fairbanks, and man, something you said, ago. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, you don't realize the impact you have on the world, and that's the best kind of impact, is to do it just to give it away and trust in the process. Yeah. Be your best you, and I guarantee you are impacting the world in ways that you will never know about. And that, to me, is the greatest way to impact the world. Because the minute you're worried about who you're impacting, you've made it all about them. And you need to keep it focused on, I'm just going to take my best me and give it to the world.
That's the thing. Like, never in a million years. God, people who've known me in my addiction, and I'm with a lot of people in recovery that knew me in my addiction, and even people like parents and people in my hometown. It's just amazing. It's like, and I get validated a lot from it, because it when somebody says like, "Holy shit," just seen me recently and they knew me 10 years ago and they're like, bro, like that's freaking all, and that's validation for me. Like, man, that's great. But the ways that we can impact people, first off, it was me. Like when I was in early recovery, a couple year in, I was, talking about my recovery online and, it's really wasn't done 8 years ago. There wasn't nobody out here talking about recovery because there was a big stigma attached to it and you couldn't talk about anonymous recovery. It was the anonymous movement, and I was just like, I couldn't understand it. And at the time I was the only one that I knew about doing it, right? That I knew about. And I got attacked by a lot of the anonymous people, and I work in an AA program, and I do. That's what I do, and that's how it got me where I am today. I work 12 steps. I believe in it. It's changed my life. My life is forever grateful for Alcoholics Anonymous, period. And I don't care if you dislike me for saying it. But I never in a million years thought me just talking about what I'm going through and how good life can be in recovery and it would have affected thousands and tens of thousands of people across the world, really. I had no idea. And I look back on it, and I'm not talking about for me. If I would have saw somebody doing what I'm doing, and I would just like, man, that's amazing. That's great. I love that. And so much has opened up in the past 8 years with people, now like a lot of people are talking about it. A lot of the stigma is being crushed as much as it possibly can. People are talking about their recovery because I couldn't understand how I could sit here and everybody know everything about my addiction. I'm on the front page of the papers. Why couldn't they kept that anonymous? I'm just curious. But, yep. That shit sells papers, but I'm not going to be anonymous about the good things, the positive things, the people that might inspire people who are like me to say, oh, you know what, I want that. I'm not going to be quiet about that. And I don't give a shit how much hell I went through in the early stages of doing this. I just put my head down. I never fired back at people. And I just kept talking about it, man. And people, the amount of people that would reach out, even in the early days, was just unbelievable. And the people that would see me and say, man, if that dude can do it, I know I can do it, and that changed lives, man. It did. And whether or not it's sustained or not, I don't know. I mean, I do know, but it's not the point. Like, seeds were planted that if a wasteful, rock bottom, alcoholic junkie, such as I claim to be, if that guy can do it, then so can I. And that's the same with anything across the board. Like, if there's struggles in life where people are suffering in silence, then that needs to be brought to light. Like, that's why I say I'm loud about my recovery. I'm not going to be silent about my recovery because I'm loud so others don't die in silence.
Absolutely.
And I just wish everybody would, whatever it is you're into, like, be cool about it. Be open about it. Don't be arrogance is what they are. The anonymous people fear that, and you're gonna get a name for yourself, and then you're gonna relapse, and it's gonna say that AA doesn't work. Bullshit.
Right.
Like what? So like when a pastor does unspeakable things, robs his church, and does other unspeakable things like that, just says Christianity doesn't work.
Right.
No, it doesn't say that. It says that was a bad pastor, and he needs to get the hell on down the road. Right?
I've seen those too lately where there was somebody posted something about a church in Kentucky and they're like, this is why I don't go to church. And I'm like, okay.
That makes total sense.
Okay.
Jackass.
I'm not a Bible thumper, but I will tell you that in the Bible it does say there will be false churches.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Bible did warn us about these things. So this is a prime example of it. And this is just like the all cops are bad because one bad thing happens.
Exactly.
All people with tattoos are bad because only tattooed people go to prison.
Right.
All this are bad because of one person. Like, that's not how things work. And even in the other form of just because it failed for you doesn't mean it's bad.
Right.
It just means you maybe didn't understand it. So, like, what I didn't understand when getting into coaching was prior to it, I sat in such a consultant space and was calling it coaching. Because my coach in baseball and all these things were somebody that told me what to do.
Gotcha.
It's not what a coach does. Not what a life coach does. Let's put it that way. A life coach is not there to fix you. A life coach is there to provide you tools and opportunity and the questions that will help you dig deeper into your brain to help you fix yourself because you're perfectly capable of it. And nobody has to fix you.
I feel like that's what, a therapist kind of operates in that space.
Therapists
too.
operate in that space, but our whole goal as a coach is to keep moving forward, and therapists are licensed to dig into the past.
Gotcha.
Because that can get into danger, right? There's PTSD. There's a lot of
and you don't want
a lot of that puts you at like risk for lawsuit, and you need to be licensed to dig into the subconscious of somebody and try to unlock trauma. Because you don't know what you're getting into if you don't understand the brain on a medical level. So coaches work not in conjunction with, but I work with some people that have therapists. Mm-hmm. And I say, what happens between you and your therapist is between you and your therapist. Right now, I'm here to focus on what you want to do moving forward. And that's it. It's forward thinking. It's forward questioning. It's forward progress. And that's all that we are concerned with. With that being said, if there are coaches out there that are saying they're coaches and they're doing nothing but giving people advice, knock it off. You're a consultant, and that's fine. Just understand that what you know may not work for a lot of people. And most of those people know those things, but they're never going to understand it if they don't figure it out for themselves.
I'm sure there's a lot of coaches out there, too, who try to dig in and get in areas where they don't freaking belong.
I'm guilty of it. I thought that's what it was, really. Like, I was like, I know a lot about life, and I know how I changed mine, so I'm going to give you all the things that I did, and this is going to fix you. Wrong. Totally wrong, because what works for me does not work for a lot of people. And the best thing that worked for me was being able to figure it out for myself. The greatest ideas you have are your own. But you got to be confident enough to get there. So I love your idea. Write down these 10 things. I'd like to take that a little bit farther. Write down these 10 things and then read them back to yourself and say, how will these 10 things serve me? Right? What purpose? If you can't attach a why to what you're writing down.
I think, so what we do is we call this a gratitude list in early recovery at the Truman houses.
Well, see, there's just 10 celebrations. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, basically what...
Sorry, I misunderstood you. That's my bad.
No, and it...
Write down, you were right. I got off topic. You write down 10 things that you're proud of yourself for.
Of things that you've, like some people, you get in early recovery, you got 10 days clean.
You're right.
You're like, holy shit, I'm grateful for electricity. I'm grateful for running water, which is all great, all good to have on a gratitude list. But, if you want to take it even further, like, what have you accomplished in your gratitude list? And put down gratitude / accomplishment, whether that just be I'm a mother again. And I am able to be present in my child's life, or I started a business, or I've got 8 years in recovery, or I got 30 days sober, whatever. And I use that gratitude list, and Chris has had one, we've all had one, where we told them we put it in a frame for every client that came through. We put it in the frame, and they put it beside their bed so they could wake up every morning.
Love it.
And I think this is where it could serve you also, because we wake up, and in addiction, we wake up irritable, restless, and discontent. A lot of us do. It's part of our nature of who we are, angry, sad, depressed, discontent, whatever. And we get to look at that gratitude list and be like, oh, yeah, this is what I've done. This is what I'm doing. And this is what I'm grateful for.
Subconsciously, we were wired to wake up and worry about the next bad thing that's going to happen without focusing on the good things that have already happened. And I love that. I absolutely love that.
Yeah.
That will help you start to recognize who you are in the moment.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Gratitude list, ladies and gentlemen. We want to see them. Put them on our Facebook.
And you don't have to be an addict to do this.
No. Please no. Don't do that.
Like,
Don't do that.
this is something that is very powerful
For
with people
everyone.
in recovery, but it's very powerful for everybody. And I remember being in the meetings and just saying, man, I think everybody should do a 12-step on some level. I don't care if you're an addict or not.
If I was king of this world, right, of the whole world, everybody would work a 12-step program.
Walking through those steps does change the way you think about a lot of things with inventory and being able to go back and take ownership of the things that you did wrong and be confident enough to apologize for them as long as it wasn't going to harm you or others, right?
Yes.
And then to continue to take your inventory, and then once you feel like you've gotten to now share what you've learned with others, kind of a thing. Like, I'm breaking it in real simple form.
I want people to realize too that, like, of the 12 steps, that it, which are life changing, bringing into a spiritual awakening. That's what the whole steps are designed to do, is make you aware and bring you to a spiritual level.
It only talks about drugs in like one or two of them, right?
That's the thing. It only mentions alcohol or drugs, depending on which program your program that you're in. The 12 steps, it only mentions it one time in the very first part of the first step. I am powerless over alcohol. And my life had become unmanageable, step 1. And then it doesn't mention alcohol in any of the other 12 steps. Yep. So the rest of the 12 steps are all about this and changing and growing and becoming aware and accepting who you are and what you did and becoming one with it, really.
Hashtag 12 steps for everybody.
Everyone.
13th step needs to stay away.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, we'll see you next time. Love you guys.
Oh.